The work is just beginning on getting a popular hiking area cleaned up after the flooding. Volunteers will keep making a dent in the millions of dollars in damage.
Sauk County homeowners are going to learn how much work they have ahead of them as damage assessments start today.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Monday, September 10th. We're coming off the heels of a gorgeous weekend. We all were outside enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely
hard
beautiful.
not to be outside this weekend.
Exactly, and there's more where that came from.
Yeah, it looks like we channeled our inner Packer fans.
Oh, yeah, we did.
In our outfits
You
today.
have to after
We didn't
that
coordinate,
win.
by the way. We should just let people know this was not a text to each other situation.
It's fate.
Honestly, when we went to sleep, it kind of looked like it wasn't going to go so well.
That's true.
Yeah, I had to turn it off so I didn't get mad. But yeah, it was kind of a touch and go for a little bit there, but glad they turned it around. Let's talk weather. I am not qualified to talk sports, but I can talk about weather. A live look from downtown Madison. The Edgewater Sky Cam, we're able to see some light on the horizon now. Should be a beautiful sunrise about 6:30 this morning. It is cool outside. Yesterday was one of the coolest mornings that we've had in quite some time. It's a little colder this morning even in some spots. 46 now in Madison. 42 in the Dells. Camp Douglas is down to 38 degrees. That sure caught my eye, seeing those 30s on the map this morning. Some spots, though, are still in the low 50s. Our temperatures over the next 12 hours will climb steadily through the day. We're back into the mid-60s by lunchtime. By 4 p.m., our high, 70 degrees. And that is not a no on the wind forecast there. That's a north wind at 0. So winds will be very light today.
Just no.
No one's saying no to this
No,
We're
forecast.
not doing it. Well, there was a lane blocked on the interstate earlier, just east of the city, but it looks like that has cleared, so that is good news. Other traffic maps in and around the area not showing any major delays or accidents. Your travel times into Madison, looks like you're still going at posted speed, so everything looking normal at this hour. And that's your first alert traffic.
Boy, what a perfect fall day.
It really is. I got nothing. That's just gorgeous.
You know what?
We're
We have a
happy.
whole week of it.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Addie.
You're welcome.
We start this hour in Grant County, where a deputy is recovering this morning after being hit by a woman allegedly driving drunk. 28-year-old Paige Rice was arrested yesterday morning for OWI causing injury. The Grant County Sheriff's Office says a deputy was removing a large pile of hay from Highway 151 near Eagle Road in Jamestown early Sunday. As he was walking back, a car crashed into the back of his squad car. The deputy was taken to the hospital for minor injuries. Rice was not hurt in the incident. Both of the cars were seriously damaged.
A teenager is in the Dane County Jail this morning after police say he threatened officers and a bus driver over the weekend. It happened on the south side along Badger Road around 10:30 Saturday night, where police say they found 18-year-old McKee Moss on the Metro bus, threatening to punch the driver. Officers say Moss fought with them during the arrest as well. Moss faces charges including disorderly conduct, possession of marijuana with intent to deliver, and felon in possession of a firearm.
Madison police continue to search for a man who sexually assaulted a 17-year-old in broad daylight. That victim told officers he was walking near Elver Park on the city's west side around 2 p.m. Saturday when a man rode up to him on a bike, grabbed his arm, and forced him into sexual contact. The teenager ran away before calling police. First responders in Janesville are warning people about an extremely dangerous Rock River this morning. This after a woman had to be rescued from the water over the weekend. According to the Janesville Gazette, that woman was kayaking with her husband when the boat flipped over yesterday afternoon. She was wearing a life jacket and was able to hang onto a branch until rescuers could get to her. The couple was not hurt, but fire officials are now warning people to pay attention to the high water levels and the fast-moving currents.
There is a similar message on the east side of the state this morning. The Coast Guard is warning people to stay out of Lake Michigan, where waves are hitting upwards of 8 feet high. That's not the only problem there either. Officials say the current has a strong undertow that could pull swimmers under. The warning for dangerous swimming conditions there is in place at least through this morning. We're continuing to get a better look of just how bad flood damage is across the state and here in Dane County, where the Pheasant Branch Conservancy has $2.5 million in repairs to address. Volunteers started cleanup there this weekend, picking up trash that had washed downstream into the Conservancy. Lots of them told our crew on site they couldn't believe how different it looked. The group Friends of Pheasant Branch is meeting with UW researchers to figure out a plan for regenerating the area, but that process could take years to finish.
Students in Montello will have their first day of school today. The district made significant changes to bus routes to make sure kids can get to class on time and safely. Reedsburg schools are also open for the first time today for the school year. Flooding in Sauk County also delayed damage assessments there. They are now scheduled to start later today in Laval. They were actually supposed to start work last Monday before the second round of heavy rains and flooding forced them to leave. Sauk County Emergency Management says those assessors will not be able to visit every home right now, but they will be collecting a sample of the damage for emergency declaration purposes. They'll be back later for a more thorough assessment. A reminder that any legitimate assessor will be able to show you proper identification.
Dane County is waiving permit fees usually associated with construction for anyone with flood damage on their property. Zoning permits aren't needed for some weather-related repairs, but other residential building does require approval from the county. Those permits start at about $50 for homeowners. The county made a similar change back when a tornado hit Stoughton in 2005 and caused $34 million in damage there. The latest estimate from flood damage here in Dane County is at $155 million.
So the estimated cost of flood damage throughout the state is right around $200 million, and about half of that has been done to homes.
Many of the people stuck paying for that damage to their property don't have flood insurance. Our Josh Spreiter is live from Mazomanie this morning, where homeowners were hit especially hard, to talk about how flood insurance works and whether we should get it. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, ladies. As you continue to assess the damage from all of that historic flooding, there is one important thing to remember. Flood insurance is entirely separate from that of home insurance or personal property coverage. And even if you do have flood insurance, that doesn't cover indirect damage. It only covers building and property damage from floodwaters. Personal property is not included in that. It's also a common misconception that if you don't live in a flood zone, you can't get insurance. You can get it as long as a flood control plan is in effect. Flood insurance is only available through the federal government. Officials say you should check to see if your home is eligible to get covered, because all of the damage from weeks of flooding in our area should be reason enough to consider it.
I would recommend everybody check in to see what the potential of flood insurance would be for them, because again, the less likely your area is to have a flood, the lower your premium is going to be.
Better safe than sorry, in other words. If you want to check out what it will cost to get flood insurance on your home, or just get more information in general, visit floodsmart.gov. And get this, according to Risk Management, you are 4 times more likely to experience flood damage over fire damage, something many people probably didn't even think about before all of this historic flooding, ladies.
I'm not sure if anybody really thought about this being that big of an issue, so we appreciate the advice. Josh Spreiter reporting live from Mazomanie. Thanks, Josh.
6:07 your time now. It always feels a little weird to talk about winter coats, hats, gloves, and scarves when it's still in the 70s and 80s. But it is that time of year again. We're kicking off our Coats for Kids campaign here at News 3. We're going to sit down with some of the people keeping our community nice and warm this winter and let you know how you can help.
No need for the heavy coats quite yet in Hattie's forecast. She's actually turning up the heat this week after a cooler than normal stretch. She will have the details when News 3 This Morning continues.
Good morning from the patio. It's a little cool outside this morning. You might want a light jacket or a sweatshirt early, but a beautiful day is ahead. Speaking of beautiful days, take a look at high temperatures yesterday. Madison, one of the few spots in our area that actually didn't top at 70. 69 was the official high here in the capital city yesterday, 72 in Janesville and Mineral Point, even 70 in the Dells. But a gorgeous day all around. Take a look at our high temperature trend over the next 10 days. The normal highs are going down this time of the year. By the time we get to the middle of next week, normal highs are in the lower 70s. We'll be above that, though, as we go through this week into the upcoming weekend. Highs will actually get back into the 80s starting on Thursday. A live look from the Edgewater Skycam downtown Madison showing you no issues with fog here, but there is a little bit of fog in parts of southern Wisconsin. We'll talk about that in just a second. Satellite and radar trends, again, showing you a very quiet scenario across the region. That rain activity to the north is going to stay to our north through the day today, so we have sunshine in the forecast. As far as fog is concerned, a little bit of fog now developing through the Wisconsin River Valley with visibilities less than a mile from Lone Rock down to Prairie du Chien. There may be some patchy fog in parts of western Dane County as well. Take a look at our current temperatures. 37 in Camp Douglas. That'll wake you up this morning. 42 in the Dells, but 50 in Mineral Point and Monroe and Janesville. Madison's at 46. Dew points are very low this morning and will remain low through the day, so no issues with humidity. Take a look at your future track forecast model. A nice warm up this morning, back into the mid 60s by lunchtime, hitting highs right around 70, so very similar to yesterday. It's not going to be as windy, though, as it was yesterday. Very comfortable through the evening hours, but then bottoming out right around 50 tomorrow morning. Here's a look at your extended forecast. We have temperatures that will slowly warm through the week. We're in the mid 70s on Tuesday, upper 70s Wednesday, and then into the 80s. That dry weather will stick around through this week. Have just slight chances for rain back in the forecast starting on Sunday. And looking ahead, we may cool down as we head through the second part of next week. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, starting off the morning commute, pretty quiet on the Beltline. No major delays showing up yet in either direction. Just some of the usual brake lights hanging around the Stoughton Road and Verona Road exits. Checking out routes here in Dane County. Johnson Street still closed with flooding between Fordham and Baldwin Street. You will need to still plan for another route. No other issues downtown around the Capitol Square and UW campus. Volume shouldn't be a factor, at least for another half hour or so. And other main routes leading into Madison, they're cruising along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Hattie. So it's that time of year again to remind you that it will not always be sunny and 70. There are a number of families in our area who struggle to stay warm in the winter.
That's why News 3 continues to partner with Clinky Cleaners and the Community Action Coalition for our Coats for Kids drive. We're marking 33 years of the effort this year, and here to help us kick off our season is Steve Clinky. He's joining us this morning from Clinky Cleaners. Thanks so much for waking up early with us.
You bet. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So for people who may not be familiar with the program, what exactly is the need here in Dane County?
Well, the program itself is about collecting coats, hats, mittens. We ask your viewing audience to go through the closets in the coming weeks between now and October 6th and pull out any coats and winter accessories that they may not need this year or they might plan to replace. Those gently used items, bring them into any one of the 15 Dane County Clinky Cleaners. We'll clean those items for free and then give them to the Community Action Coalition for distribution in October through November.
Yeah, for anybody who hasn't been to this event, you're seeing some video now, and we've been lucky enough, Leah and I both, to be at these distributions. And, were you ever surprised, Steve, to just see how big the need is here in Dane County?
Well, yeah, the need itself is a great need, and Community Action Coalition tells us every year that they're always looking for all types of coats, not just kids' coats. I know it's called Coats for Kids, but we need kids' coats, adult coats, all sizes of coats, particularly plus sizes coats.
For both adults and kiddos.
For both adults and kids, correct. And the CAC did tell us last year, the year before, that only about 30% of the coats are actually kids' coats. So we definitely need more kids' coats and more of those plus sizes.
And it's more than just coats. I mean, we have hats here, we have scarves, anything you might need to stay warm in the winter.
That's right. Hats, scarves, mittens, gloves, just bring them on in and we'll take care of them.
So, and you were saying, I mean, it's a wide range of donations that we get every year. So
Right.
what would your plea be for folks to get them out? I mean, it's hard, again, it's hard to get in this mindset with it 70 degrees out.
Right. It's always, we've actually shifted the start of the program a little bit later every year to try to get it more in the colder season where people are thinking about it. No, it's, the need is great, and you know, every year the donation levels can be anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000. Last year we collected about 5,800 coats, and since the start of the program we've collected about 318,000 coats.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so impressive.
And just so people know, they might see some trash bins around their area, and this is what they're for. Do not throw your trash in there.
Right. Well, this particular barrel, this is kind of what we have at Clinky Cleaners. I do know that, I mean, if people want to start a kind of collection at their office or their place of work and gather up some coats and then bring them over to us, we're happy to take those.
Some schools do that too.
Schools do that too, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
And a reminder for folks, when and where can they donate?
So any of the 15 Dane County Clinky Cleaners, and they donate now through October 6th. And if at all possible, go through the closets earlier. Again, I know the warmer weather makes it difficult to think about it, but if you can go through the closet earlier, it helps us get those coats clean and over to the CAC earlier rather than right at the end of the program.
All right. Steve, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. 6:17 right now on this Monday morning. There's an effort at the UW-Madison campus to help students with healthy relationships. The hope is to prevent sexual assaults or violence before it even happens. We will have more on that coming up.
Before that, it's a window open kind of forecast again today. Sunrise is right after 6:30 today. We're already seeing a little bit of a peek of it. Hattie says we'll see a whole lot of the sun. We'll get an update from her when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Sun about ready to come up this morning just after 6:30, getting a little lighter outside, which is always good news. Here's a live look from the WISC-TV sky cam showing you that skies are mostly clear here across southern Wisconsin. A little bit of fog developing through the Wisconsin River Valley and in Camp Douglas, where visibility is less than a mile. There may be some patchy fog west of Madison this morning as well. Temperatures are cool, down about 5 degrees from where they were this time yesterday. We're at 46 here in Madison. Now it's dropped to 48 in Mineral Point and Platteville. Camp Douglas is at 37 degrees. Our temperatures, though, through the day, even if you grab a light jacket this morning, will warm nicely. By lunchtime, as you head outside for recess, sunshine, 65 degrees, highs near 70 later on this afternoon. Have a wonderful Monday.
All right, thanks, Hattie. 2,500 athletes might be missing the sunrise this morning, sleeping in, and they deserve it after swimming, biking, and riding for more than 130 miles here in Madison this weekend. The Ironman Wisconsin is officially over. In the women's professional race, Lindsey Corbin from Bend, Oregon, took first for the women. She finished in 9 hours, 12 minutes, and 39 seconds. Numbers for the men's race aren't in quite yet this morning. Athletes came from all 50 states and 24 different countries to participate. All downtown roads that were closed Sunday for the competition are back open today. There is an effort happening over at UW-Madison to make sure all students feel safe on campus. It's called the You Got This program, a 2-part violence prevention workshop that's required for all freshmen or transfer students. You can pick from a number of different topics, from healthy relationships and intervention to how to support a survivor. Registration for the 90-minute workshops are open today. Students can go to the University Health Services website to register.
6:23 right now, and with the amount of time kids and teens spend playing games on their phones and tablets, UW-Madison researchers actually have some good news in that department for parents. A study looked at how middle schoolers respond to different video games and found that certain ones can be good for their brains and encourage pro-social behaviors. Here's how it worked. Half of the group played a control game while the other half played something called Crystals of Cador. That's a game that takes players to a foreign planet where they have to interpret aliens' emotions and then help them out. That game was designed specifically to improve empathy in kids.
These kinds of social and emotional skills at this age of life are better predictors of long-term adult success in life than grades, IQ, and standardized test scores all put together.
Tonight, our colleague Maddie O'Neill will take a closer look at the study and share why some video games can actually be helpful. You can catch that tonight on News 3 at 10.
Today is World Suicide Prevention Day, and over on the UW campus, where statistics show 1 in 10 students have thought about suicide, there's an opportunity to talk about it. The Marquee Theater in Union South is airing a documentary on suicide prevention called The S Word. It follows the story of a suicide survivor and her mission to get more people to share their stories. The screening starts at 6:30 tonight. Admission is free for anyone who wants to go. All right, 6:24 your time now. After seeing homes and businesses destroyed by high water over the past couple of weeks here in Wisconsin, you might be wondering whether you should look into flood insurance and what it actually protects against. Josh Spreiter is going to be live in Mesa Maney to answer some of those questions.
And a program matching kids up with mentors for the school year is expanding. We'll tell you where students can now have a big brother or sister in class when News 3 This Morning continues.
Governor Walker is facing some pushback over his plan for rebuilding the state's highway system.
After historic flooding.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:30 now on this Monday, September 10th, and we haven't decided what the best news of the day is. Is it the Packers win last night or this gorgeous forecast?
I'm going to go with the forecast just because it's lasting more, it's continuing.
And because she's a Ravens fan.
Also that. Let's turn it over to Hattie out in her patio this morning where she gets to enjoy kind of a crisp morning out there, Hads.
Yeah, it's beautiful outside this morning. Temperatures are in the 40s and 50s, but we have a great forecast coming up. I think everyone will be in a great mood this morning, even though it is a Monday. Let's take a look at our temperatures. Currently 46 degrees here in Madison, 42 in the Dells, 50 in Janesville. 37 on Camp Douglas. That got my attention this morning. That's a little chilly to the north. Temperatures, though, in some spots are in the 30s across central Wisconsin. A nice warm-up, though, is expected today with highs right around 70 degrees later on this afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine. Don't forget those sunglasses today. Your first alert traffic update this morning. We'll show you what's happening on the roads, and looks like volume is still pretty low because we're not seeing any delays on the Beltline just yet. No accidents to report, so you're still going at posted speeds as you head into Madison. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, thanks, Hattie. 6:29 your time now. People across Wisconsin are just starting to clean up what Governor Walker says is more than $200 million in flood damage over the past few weeks.
So seeing images of the flood damage or experiencing it firsthand have a lot of us wondering if we need to update our insurance coverage or if that would even do any good. Josh Sprider is live this morning in Mazomanie with some of the information we should all know going forward, especially if you're one of the many people who experience flood damage. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, ladies. This is a pretty common sight across this community. Dumpsters filled with all of that damage. And it's a common misconception that if you don't live in a flood zone, you can't get flood insurance. Well, as long as your community has a flood control plan in effect, you can get that coverage. Flood insurance is issued by the federal government, and according to risk management officials, you are 4 times more likely to experience loss from floods than fire. If you do get flood insurance, remember that doesn't cover indirect property damage. You have to buy that insurance separately. But after seeing all of these floods, officials say it might be a good idea for more people to consider buying flood insurance.
Flood-prone area or flood zone is an area that has experienced a flood as often as once in 100 years. So now these people that may have previously not been in a flood zone are more than likely going to be what in the federal government is going to call a flood zone going forward.
If you're not sure on how to go about doing this, there is a website you can go to. It's very easy to learn more about flood insurance for your home. You can find a link to that along with everything else you need to know about flood insurance right now at channel3000.com. Back to you, ladies.
This is something that a lot of people are talking about right now, what flood insurance covers and whether we should get it. All right, our Josh Sprider reporting live for us this morning. Thanks, Josh.
So the forecast may be dry, but flooded out vehicles could soon start showing up on used car lots. New federal guidelines require all used car dealerships to put used car buyers' guide stickers in every single car. So Wisconsin has its own state law that requires a similar sticker in the window. That sticker shows the car's make, year, and model, as well as the condition of the car and an explanation of any defects. While dealers do have to disclose any problems they know about with that car, they are not required to completely take apart the vehicle to check for those issues.
Deputies in western Minnesota say remains found in the Mississippi River belong to a Wisconsin man who's been missing for 5 months now. 61-year-old David Sheridan was last seen on his sailboat on Lake Pepin back in April. His boat was found later empty with the motor still running. The Wabasha County Sheriff's Office says 2 boys found a torso with an attached leg on the Minnesota side of the river this summer. Another leg was found farther downstream. A recent DNA test confirms the remains belong to Sheridan. Officers are still investigating his death.
There's a sad reminder this morning to share the roads, do it so safely with farmers after a fatal crash involving a motorcycle and a tractor over the weekend. A passenger on the bike is in critical condition this morning. This happened on Highway 151 in Fond du Lac County around dinner time Saturday. The sheriff's office says the motorcycle was trying to pass the tractor when the tractor started turning into a field. The motorcycle driver and passenger, both from Chilton, were ejected from the bike. The driver died at the scene, while the passenger was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The tractor driver was not hurt. 6:33 right now, and Governor Scott Walker is facing criticism this morning from the former head of the state's transportation department. Mark Gottlieb served as Secretary of Transportation from 2011 to 2017. The Journal Sentinel reports this morning that Gottlieb says Walker is, quote, increasingly inaccurate when it comes to Wisconsin's highway system. He specifically refers to the governor suggesting the state could save some money by not adding lanes as it rebuilds roads. Governor Walker has implied that people may drive less in the future, but Gottlieb says that traffic has actually been increasing since the 2008 recession. A spokesperson for the governor blamed Walker's predecessor, Governor Jim Doyle, for shifting money from roads to schools. Gottlieb's now the third former top aide to speak out against the governor in recent months.
Governor Walker, by the way, is up for re-election in less than 2 months in the November midterms. And today there are a couple of different ways for you to get ready to vote. The League of Women Voters has a new guide out to help you navigate the voting process. You can find that online at vote411.org. That's vote411.org. And over on the UW campus today, volunteers will be on hand inside Union South to help you get registered. Be sure to bring your Wisconsin driver's license or other ID. If you're a student without one, you're asked to bring the last 4 digits of your social security number. Volunteers are going to be there all day from 10 until 6.
The Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County is asking for more volunteers this morning as it expands to 2 more schools here in Madison. The School Friends program will now be in Leopold and Mendota elementary schools, as well as 5 other elementary schools here in the city and 2 middle schools here. Bigs meet with their littles once a week with this program during lunch or after school. A $36,000 donation helped make this expansion possible. If you would like to learn more about becoming a big brother or a big sister, you can visit bbbsmadison.org. That's bbbsmadison.org. 6:35 right now. In case there was any question, Aaron Rodgers says he is playing next week. Packers fans are recovering from some minor heart attacks after he was carted off the field, but then he goes and pulls off a comeback like Aaron Rodgers does. We'll have a recap in the morning sprint.
And while we don't have to worry about heavy downpours and high winds here, there are areas across the country that are feeling this hurricane season. Chris Reese is in to talk about those systems and how one of them could make history when News 3 This Morning continues.
Welcome back at 6:38 on this Monday morning. We always ask you to share your morning with us, and we have this shot to share with you. It's kind of a rainy flower shot. I would assume was captured, over the last few weeks, because if you forgot, we did have some rain over the last few weeks. It's easy to forget with all the beautiful weather here, but thank you so much. I believe it's Shashi for sending this picture. Gorgeous shot.
Beautiful picture. Nice little hold on to summer there. Thanks for sharing. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook page, maybe on Twitter, and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Danica and I like to share our favorites right here on the program. 6:39 your time now. Hurricane Florence could make history as it gains strength moving toward the Carolinas. This comes, though, as people living along the Gulf Coast are still recovering from Tropical Storm Gordon.
Yeah, and then out in the Pacific, Hurricane Olivia is producing heavy rain and high winds as it moves toward Hawaii. Meteorologist Chris Reese joins us now with an update on all of the things going on in the tropics. And Chris, there's a lot going on.
That's right, guys. There is a lot going on. We are tracking several different systems at once, all churning in the waters and some on land. Let's go ahead and start with the remnants of Gordon. This has brought very heavy rain to the northeast this morning after bringing upwards of 8 or 9 inches of rain through parts of Kentucky. That'll continue to work its way on out of the country. Then it's Olivia. Olivia is a Category 1 hurricane right now with winds of 85 miles per hour moving towards Hawaii, potentially impacting that area as a tropical storm. We have 2 other systems. Here is Helene, who is expected to move out to sea. Then we have Isaac, who could impact the Lesser Antilles as we go through the week. But we are really keeping an eye on Florence. She's a Category 2, winds of 105 miles per hour right now. She'll likely become a Category 4 within the next 24 hours. We call that rapid intensification before making landfall as a major hurricane. Don't be surprised if she does make it to Category 5 strength. Rapid intensification is something that has really become more popular as we've gone through recent years. Here we are watching it again. But the thing that makes her historic when it comes to climatological norms is the fact that no storm that formed where Florence did has ever made a United States landfall. But we have these warmer than average waters off the east coast of the Atlantic. This is promoting a region of high pressure, steering Florence into the eastern seaboard. That's going to be something that we have to keep a very close eye on as we go through the next several days, as Florence does have the potential to essentially wreak all kinds of havoc along the east coast. Already they do have states of emergency from South Carolina all the way through Virginia this morning. So we're going to be watching this one very close.
All right, Chris Reese, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
A lot to track, Chris.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Chris, Hattie, and the rest of the News 3 weather team, they have been continuing to deliver the best news of the morning, and no rain to talk about in our first alert forecast straight through the week. Hattie will talk about temperatures going up over the next couple of days in her forecast next.
Gorgeous sunrise there. But first, it's September 10th. We want to say happy birthday to Walter and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thanks for letting us help you celebrate right here on News 3 This Morning. Welcome back. 6:45 your time now. You're taking a live look outside at the west side of Madison from our WISC Skycam. Look at that sunrise. If that does not brighten your Monday morning, I don't know what will. Hattie's got a lot of that in store for us for the rest of the week. We'll check in with her in a minute. Now, here's what also might make your morning a bit better. Waking up to a big comeback win by the Packers against the Bears last night. Head coach Mike McCarthy is going to talk about that game with reporters later today. It didn't start out pretty, though, with Chicago leading 20-0 at halftime. Aaron Rodgers had to be taken off the field with a leg injury, but he did make it back for some game-saving throws, tossing to Randall Cobb for a touchdown to pull ahead and win by a single point, 24-23. The Pack plays Minnesota next Sunday at Lambeau. Kickoff for that game is at noon.
An absolutely gorgeous evening for anybody up at Lambeau, Hattie, and the good news continues from the weather department.
Yeah, it was perfect weather for football yesterday evening. Will that stretch of weather continue? Well, for at least the next week, we have pretty nice conditions with dry weather. Things might start to change up a little bit as we head towards the middle of the month. The 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook is painting above normal precipitation chances for much of Minnesota as far as northwestern Wisconsin. Now, when you look at temperatures, no real indication one way or the other. Near normal conditions expected as we head through the middle of September. And what exactly is normal for us? Well, as we head towards the middle of September, normal highs will be down in the upper 60s. Right now, though, normal is 74 degrees. We'll be a little bit below that today with a high of 70. Nighttime lows are right on track, though, for this time of the year. Here's a look at satellite and radar trends. We have clear skies here across southern Wisconsin. Almost looks like this map is not working, but the time is in fact changing. We just don't have any clouds in the area. As we zoom the map out a little bit, you'll notice some shower and thunderstorm activity in northern Minnesota and parts of southern Canada. This front is going to stay to our north, so no precipitation in our area with that front. Here's a look at our future track going over the next couple of days. It has been a little cooler, but very comfortable with low humidity. That trend is expected to continue. There's that front. It'll mainly impact the northern part of the state over the next couple of days. For us here in southern Wisconsin, we still have some sunshine. Winds eventually turn to the south, and that's going to start to warm us up a little bit as we head towards the middle of the week. So temperatures will be back in the 80s by the time we get to the end of the week. We're definitely not in the 80s this morning. 40s across Wisconsin, as well as some 30s in the map. You can see those blue shaded colors. It is 37 in Camp Douglas and Black River Falls. 42 in the Dells, 46 here in Madison. A few spots hanging on to 50 degrees this morning. Winds are very light, if any, wind right now from the north. They will stay light through the day, around 5 miles an hour. So a big change from yesterday with concern to the winds. Winds will be much lighter than they were. Here's a look at your Pinpoint City forecast highs today. Should be a gorgeous day. 69 in some Prairie as well as Middleton and Fort Atkinson. 72 in Milton and Beloit. To the west, a lot of 70s on this map. 71 in Prairie du Chien, Cuba City and Darlington. Sunshine to the north with temperatures likely in the upper 60s. 69 from Lone Rock over to Baraboo and up to Montello. Here in Madison, our high temperature today is 70. Our forecast low then tonight has us dropping back into the lower 50s. We will warm through the week, but nothing but sunshine in the forecast through Saturday. Slight chances for rain are back in the forecast on Sunday. Here's a look at our pet spot forecast. This is Murray in Reedsburg. Oh, cute face. Might be a little muddy in Reedsburg, but still a nice day to be outside.
He's like, really? I have to take this picture? I'd rather be outside. Come on.
So
Come on,
cute.
Mom.
All right, cutie.
Thanks, Heads.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next.
6:52 time now for the morning sprint. Hattie has the start of a gorgeous week with sun and comfortable temperatures.
The dry weather is good news for people living in places like Mesa Maney. That's where Josh Spreiter is this morning talking about flood insurance, what it covers, and whether you should get it. First, though, we start in Dane County, where flood damage is at $155 million at last count. The Pheasant Branch Conservancy alone is looking at $2.5 million in needed repairs. Volunteers started cleanup there this weekend, picking up trash that had washed downstream into the Conservancy. The group Friends of Pheasant Branch is meeting with UW researchers to figure out a plan for regenerating the area, but that process could take years to finish.
Dane County is waiving permit fees for people who need to rebuild after flood damage. Zoning permits aren't needed for some weather-related repairs, but other residential buildings do require that approval from the county. Erosion control fees also have to be paid for properties within 1,000 feet of the lakes. There is an estimated, again, $155 million worth of damage across Dane County.
Students up in Montello and Reedsburg are starting their school year today, finally, after a week of flooding delays. That's the same story for damage assessments in Sauk County. They will start up today in Laval, also a week late due to more flooding. Sauk County Emergency Management says those assessors won't be able to visit every home right now, but they'll be collecting a sample of the damage to make sure the area can get government aid. Crews will be back later for a more thorough assessment.
I'm Josh Spreiter live in Mesa Maney this morning, where residents here and across many parts of southern Wisconsin are asking questions about flood insurance. Flood insurance is entirely separate from home insurance or personal property coverage. And if you don't have flood insurance, or if you do have it rather, that doesn't cover indirect damage. It only covers building and property damage from floodwaters. Personal property is not included in that. It's a common misconception that if you don't live in a flood zone, you can't get coverage. You can get it as long as a flood control plan is in effect. Officials say you should check to see if your home is eligible to get covered. We have everything you need to know at channel3000.com.
And you can see Josh is in Mesa Maney this morning, where there was a little bit of fog. In western parts of Dane County, a little bit of fog now developing. Some fog through the Wisconsin River Valley as well, with visibility at a half a mile or less. The fog should lift rather quickly, though, today as temperatures warm through the 50s this morning, back into the mid-60s by lunchtime. Our high today right around 70 degrees with mostly sunny skies. And
thank you so much, Hattie. A Grant County deputy is expected to be okay after allegedly being hit by a drunk driver over the weekend. 28-year-old Paige Rice is in custody this morning on OWI charges. The Grant County Sheriff's Office says that deputy was removing a large pile of hay from Highway 151 in Jamestown early Sunday. As he was walking back, Rice's car allegedly crashed into the back of his squad car. That deputy was taken to the hospital for minor injuries.
A Dallas police officer is facing manslaughter charges this morning for shooting a black man while she was off duty. The Texas Department of Public Safety says Amber Geiger shot and killed 26-year-old Botham Jean Thursday after her shift when she says he mistook his apartment for her own. Lawyers for Jean's family have been calling for her arrest, claiming she's receiving favorable treatment.
CBS is looking for a new chairman and CEO after Leslie Moonves resigned amid more sexual harassment allegations. According to the New Yorker magazine, there are now 12 women who are publicly accusing Moonves of sexual misconduct. He has denied all of those allegations. A statement from CBS and its majority shareholder says Moonves and the network will donate $20 million to organizations that support the Me Too movement and workplace equality.
You have less than 2 months until the midterms this November, and there are a couple of different ways for you to get ready to vote today. The League of Women Voters has a new guide out to help you navigate the voting process. You can find that online at vote411.org. And over on the UW campus today, volunteers are going to be on hand inside Union South to help you get registered. That runs from 10 until 6.
Starting today, UW-Madison students will register for 90-minute workshops aimed at reducing violence on campus. The You Got This program is required for all freshmen and transfer students. Those students can pick from a number of different topics, from healthy relationships and intervention to how to support a survivor.
The Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County is asking for more volunteers as it expands to 2 more schools here in Madison. The School Friends program will now be in Leopold and Mendota Elementary, along with 5 other elementary schools and 2 middle schools in the city. Bigs meet their littles once a week during lunch or after school. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a big brother or a big sister, you can visit bbbsmadison.org.
We are kicking off our annual Coats for Kids campaign today. We are working with the Community Action Coalition and Clinky Cleaners to make sure families in need have winter coats, hats, mittens, everything they need to stay warm this winter. You can donate those gently used items at any Clinky Cleaners location or at Lucier Family YMCA. We have all the information up on channel3000.com.
6:57 your time now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, it's picking up on the westbound Beltline as everyone heads out for the day. Plan on some delays between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. It's going to add a couple minutes to your drive time. Inbound John Nolan getting busier. Give yourself an extra minute or two approaching the North Shore Drive intersection if you're heading into the downtown area. And other main routes leading into Madison, they're cruising along at the usual speeds right now with no crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And we have a great start this morning. It is a little cool outside, but skies are clear across southern Wisconsin. Here's the view from the Edgewater Skycam this morning. Sunny skies already in downtown Madison. Enjoy that sun. Don't forget the sunglasses. You'll want them today. Highs will be right around 70 degrees.
All right, thanks, Hattie. Make sure you put on sunscreen to enjoy the rest of the week. Get outside, check out that sun. Thanks for joining us.